Here, we're going to discuss the agreed boundary doctrine when there is uncertainty over the exact location of a boundary line. It's a little tricky to visualize, so let's jump right into an example. Consider a parcel of real estate divided into two equally sized parcels by a recorded survey. Later, a fence is erected between the parcels, but not located on the common boundary line, causing one parcel to appear physically larger than the other. Multiple years later, the owner of the smaller parcel sells their land. The new owner hires a surveyor to determine the location of the boundary between the properties. Survey sets the boundary at the location described in recorded documents. The survey shows the fence is not located on the legally described boundary between the adjacent properties. The new owner of the smaller parcel seeks to recover possession of the land between the fence and the boundary. The neighboring owner of the larger parcel claims the fence is the agreed boundary, since it is reasonable to infer the previous owners agreed the location of the fence to be their common boundary. The owner of the smaller parcel claims the agreed boundary doctrine does not apply, since a recorded legal description of the boundary is available and the true boundary is thus known and can be located. Is the owner of the smaller parcel correct in relying on the legal description of the property to establish the actual boundary location? Yes, the agreed boundary doctrine does not apply, since the exact boundary can be readily located and the owner of the larger parcel cannot show the prior owners were uncertain as to the true boundary description and then agreed the fence would mark the boundary. Now that we've seen when the agreed boundary doctrine does not apply, let's examine when it does. To establish a boundary line under the agreed boundary doctrine, the following facts need to exist: uncertainty as to the boundary's exact location, an agreement between the owners to set the boundary line, and acquiescence to the boundary line for a period of at least 5 years, or a substantial loss would be suffered due to a change in the location of the boundary line to the legally described location. The agreed boundary doctrine was developed during a time when less advanced surveying techniques made it too difficult or expensive to locate the boundary line described in the deeds. Thus, the more practical way to set a boundary line in rural and relatively unpopulated areas was often for owners of adjacent parcels to agree between themselves on the location of a common marker, such as a fence, to set the agreed boundary. However, surveying techniques have significantly improved. Now, if a deed is clear and a competent surveyor is available, the true boundary line can easily be established to eliminate the uncertainty of the boundary's location. Thus, the ancient agreed boundary doctrine has been reduced to the status of a legal last resort. Simply, in the absence of an oral or written agreement between an owner and their neighbor to set the boundary line at some place other than the documented deed line, the boundary line described in their deeds remains the legal boundary.
In a world of generic CE, it's finally time to start enjoying your real estate education. Introducing First Tuesday's video renewal course, Real Estate Made Real. California's first and only DRE-approved video-based renewal experience. Get an exclusive preview and enroll today. Be the star of your career.